Welcome to the Fargo podcast, the officially unofficial podcast for Fargo on FX/Hulu. I'm Jim.
I'm A.Ron.
And today we're talking about Fargo season 5, episode 1 and episode 2. We're going to get them both in here because they released on the same day. For people, 100 years from now listening to this podcast. Came out the same day. Tragedy of the Commons and Trials and Tribulations are the titles of those episodes. A.Ron, it's been a long time since we've covered Fargo. I remember Fargo being pretty good most seasons, being funny, being exciting. Did you find that this season so far has been that? Or what's your take on it?
It's interesting because I feel like at old Fargo Industries, Noah Hawley got a lot of complaints from the customer base about season 4. So the text responded by factory formatting Fargo back to its original settings. It's fully back to the season 1, season 2 kind of era Fargo in terms of its sensibilities, and maybe a little bit of season 3 mixed in. Here's the thing. I was a little taken aback because I was expecting this season to be a lot funnier. And this season is, if it's funnier than any other season of Fargo, I can't really detect it. There was a couple of laughs. There was a couple visual gags. Like, there is the ridiculousness of John Hamm's character, his sure. lawman, his constitutional sheriff Roy. But, like, I don't know. He's not a very funny guy, No,
not at all.
It's a weird. I don't know. I don't know how you do parody. I don't know how you parody a culture that you're living in. It's like when we went back and like some of the early seasons of Fargo. We're talking a decade ago. Noah Hawley's talking about the theater of the absurd, right? And these French existentialists that were living through the invasion of Nazi Germany and Eastern European writers that lived under the the communist bloc, and how like arbitrary and absurd their society was, and like the idea that there's this whole play where the author sees his neighbors as becoming these rhinoceros-like beasts around him, and I'm like, man, that'd be fucked up, right? And here comes 2023, 2024, where it's like obviously this country is like bitterly divided along a lot of different lines, and we're not even seeing like eye to eye on reality. I'm pretty sure there is a way to parody that. I mean, Charlie Chaplin managed to make Hitler pretty funny. Back in the 30s. So I know you can do it. I just don't know if this is doing it. Because this felt very serious with a couple of like pauses for laughter here and there. And I sat down with a big smile on my face, and I was like, oh hell yeah, it's going to be the Big Lebowski season. This is going to be the Raising Arizona season. And Hawley's name. Yeah, Fargo season even is kind of baseline funnier than this. Mm-hmm. And those series are all dutifully name-checked, but Hawley is just kind of putting his head down and going straight forward with the thing that he wants to do. And we'll see if it's successful. But a lot of my reaction is like, this is not the Fargo I was expecting. And I don't know. That's my bottom line so far.
I'm with you. There is a difficulty bar that they're trying to hit with parodying the society we're currently living in. Because a lot of these characters, I think, out of the context of this, of like living through this situation, would be funny. Because they are very quirky, right? I think like there are so many quirks on these characters, but they're quirks that I look at and I go, they're either abrasive because that's their personality, or they're hitting so close to home that it feels... I'm a little sensitive to it. And so I can't laugh too much at it.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely funny moments. And a couple of times I laughed out loud. But it was never the stuff that, like... It was the parody part of it. Or the satire, really. It was more incidental stuff. Or just, straight up... kind of ridiculous stuff, like John Hamm standing up out of his hot tub completely nude. That was pretty funny.
Moist repose.
His moist repose, yeah. That stuff, it is funny from time to time, but it's not nearly as funny as I expected based on the things that it's pulling from, right?
Also, and as a guy that lives in the Midwest and lives in these battleground states, just went through where oh my, there's always crazy stuff happening in Ohio. I just don't know how. I don't have any confidence in Noah Hawley's going to say anything super smart or insightful about the situation. It's like it feels like from Noah Hawley, I don't know that I've ever gotten anything but like preaching to the choir, which is just that's fine. But like I always prize the stuff that's like able to at least get people who or maybe are not as engaged. Like I don't know what I'm looking for, but like someone who is able to say something a little bit more insightful than just common, what's going on today. Because I don't know if Raising Arizona would be as funny as it was if like the country were actually plagued with half the states menaced by supernatural biker bounty hunters.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So I mean,
like
the quirks are hitting a little too close to home.
Yeah, if there was 65 million supernatural biker bounty hunters going around with grenades, tossing them through all, like Raising Arizona.
Yeah, if this was Australia,
not quite
right?
as not quite as fucking funny.
Does Mad Max hit the way you want it to, or is it too close to home? No.
Yeah, the irradiated wastelands of Australia. It's too bad that they never made it into the 21st century.
And I can't tell if it's that's getting to me or if it's just straight up not as funny. Because I feel like there are moments of comedy in there that punctuate it, but it's not trying to be a Big Lebowski. It's not trying to do comedy at every turn.
The rhythm of it is nothing like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I said, it feels like it's a very dour drama that every once in a while remembers, oh, right, we're kind of like trying to do something whimsical in the Coen line, and they'll throw... And, it's like, I don't know, you get an eye patch wearing lawyer, and you get Jennifer Jason Leigh doing kind of her HUD proxy or
whatever that accent
Hudsucker
is.
Proxy accent in Fargo. It's like, and there's, like I said, there's some stuff like that it kind of works, but... I don't know. The other thing is I got from the reviews from the critics who've seen the entire season, or at least most of it, that this is a fairly slow start to the season, and it gets kind of progressively more unhinged and I don't know if it's zanier or crazier or just unhinged. But I also kept on thinking, like, why 2 episodes? I don't, and it's usually because like the first 2 episodes don't have like a good, like they're worried that, oh my God, if we go this 1 episode, there's not a hook. We forgot to put the hook in or something. But I almost feel like the first episode was a better end. Like her, like the mystery of like, her just frantically mixing the pancakes. And why is she doing this? Why is she in denial? What's her background? Because there was so much information dropped in the second episode where it's like it just comes out and it's like, yeah, Roy's her ex-husband, or maybe current still husband, and also most likely Scotty is his daughter. Like I don't know. I felt
and so much of what they did in that first episode was given away by the trailer, just plot wise, that I didn't feel like I actually got any real information in that first episode, and it wasn't the hook that it should have been because I'd already seen the trailer, which told me everything that first episode does, essentially.
Yeah, and like even then, it's like people are talking about this being Home Alone, and I guess it is, but it's very grim Home Alone. It's not like people are in pain and dying in realistic ways, and there's policemen being shot
very
up.
Fargo, right? It's like Fargo
it is
Home
very
Alone.
Fargo, but like Fargo and Home Alone, maybe that's not something that you want to mix.
Yeah.
Like if they give you a chocolate milk piss mixer, are you gonna be like, oh, those are
chocolate
two great.
Milk is tasty, but do you need the piss?
Yeah, it's not quite chocolate and peanut butter, So like I said, and the other thing is like I also got to say that I've seen both these episodes twice in less than a 12-year period because we weren't able to get screeners for this show, and they did set us up for 2 episodes right going into the holiday weekend, and I got to leave for Indiana, and I was like, so like there might be a little bit of, I don't know that this got the time to breathe that it was able to, but
well, it definitely didn't for me. I've seen these once. I didn't have time to watch them multiple times, which won't be the case in future weeks, but.
Yeah, it didn't come out till 3 a.m. I was able to because I just randomly got a Fubo subscription to watch, an off-market NFL game, and I still had the free
Oh.
trial, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm
Nice.
just going to watch it when it comes out live, and I can see it again tomorrow morning. But yeah, I was sitting down and I was wanting. I was like, when we got into the Home Alone stuff, like, oh yeah, I can see the yarn going up and it's going to be fun. And it's like, oh, this isn't fun. But
Yeah, it feels like they're kind of doling out the Home Alone stuff over the course of the season, right? With this second
that's the
episode
other big
where they're-
surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're slow playing
I'm like-
that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got this. That's the Home Alone scene, huh? I thought that'd be more too. And like, oh no, this is some more Home Alone scene, and I guess there's going to be even more Home Alone. So maybe they work up to it, but also maybe lead with your best stuff.
Yeah, yeah, could say that. All right, we should probably get into it. We've got a lot of stuff to cover here.
Yeah, let's do it.
We could talk about it as we go. All right, we start off with a definition of Minnesota nice, which is an aggressively pleasant demeanor, often forced, in which a person is chipper and self-effacing no matter how bad things get. And then we go over to the Fall Festival Planning Committee meeting, erupting into a brawl around a woman, Dorothy, and a child, Scotty. They make their way out of the auditorium, but the woman accidentally tases a police officer, and she's arrested. And she tries to explain to the cops it was all a mistake, but she's booked and thrown in the slammer.
Yep.
It's a true story, as usual on Fargo. It starts off with, standard stuff, and we find out that it's Minnesota in 2019. So this is very contemporary.
It's interesting because I wonder, we talked about this in a preview, that Noah Hawley said that he picked this particular time because this was before the election, before the January 6th stuff. But like it doesn't. I wonder why he chose to pick that instead of like post that time, because like it seems like he's trying to evoke the kind of like food fights that are happening in all of our school board meetings over what books are allowed to read and what bathrooms kids are allowed to go to, and and that she's just poor Dot here is trapped with her daughter trying to get out of here. And it's like she gets wrongfully imprisoned by zapping the cop. It's just that I wondered if this would actually. I don't know if this is a scenario to actually go down in a town this small. I looked up Scandia, and it's got a population of 4,000.
Okay.
I just wonder if like a house mom in a melee had randomly tased a sheriff if she would have been ripped from her 9-year-old daughter with no one to watch her and. Get taken to the slammer. It felt a little much.
I guess I'm not really looking for realism. I'm told, oh, it's Fargo, it's Big Lebowski, it's Home Alone. Not looking for the realism here. Just looking for a compelling story. And
well, then why am I dealing with a constitutional sheriff plotline?
Sure.
Like I guess maybe is this the dreaded tonal problems that I have with Fargo sometimes, where it's like
could be.
It's like, well, it's a heightened realism and it's kind of being a fantasy, and I'm like, but it's awful real in places.
Yeah, possibly. They're doing a lot of stuff throughout these episodes with Dorothy as a lion. I mean, her name is literally Dorothy Lion. She makes some comments to the cop here who arrested her about her being a mama lion protecting her cubs. Is this going after Karen types? Is that what this is supposed to be? Satirizing.
I thought it was just setting her up to be like this almost instinctive survivor.
For sure.
That she's got that dog in her. She's got like this kind of like, most people won't just go right to violence. Mm-hmm. There'll be some posturing, but Dot, no, she knows how small the cage can get, which I thought was a great line.
It is. From
later in the next episode, but I think that's I didn't get the Karen thing. Because I don't think
might not
like Karen's not minding her own. Karen, you get to be called a Karen when you just don't mind your own goddamn business. Mm-hmm. Other people's business is minding her, and she's tasing her way out of it. I would hope that that's not referred to as Karen behavior.
Sure. She also says, it was just a case of wrong place, wrong time for this cop who got tased. It's classic Cohen story. Just. Mm-hmm. Coincidence, bringing things together in ways that clash. I like that.
The other interesting thing you mentioned with the opening title, the opening credits about the Minnesota Nice, is that we later find out that this is all a facade of Dot. That she doesn't have this isn't something she's born and bred to. This is something she's clearly affecting. And she is the kind of like of all the characters, she's the most aggressively Minnesota Nice. I think that's interesting. That the. Like look it up in the dictionary, there's the picture, person is the actual fakest of them. Maybe that says something interesting about what Holly feels about this aggressive North Midwest kind of nice thing, that he thinks it's all an act.
Possibly. I mean, it's the first time they've actually defined the term, even though it's permeated all of Fargo, right?
Yeah.
So clearly he's leaning into that quite a bit more, and starting off here with Dot is definitely his stamp that he's putting on that. It was a fun scene, I thought. Just it's a hell of a way to start an episode. Get into a brawl here at a fall festival planning committee meeting. Like how does that spin out of control? What is controversial about a fall festival?
The only thing I can think of is it's the way the school's trying to rebrand Halloween, because it turns out in like really fundamentalist Christian circles, Halloween is a satanic holiday. It's not a fun thing where you get candy and dress up. It's literally doing Satan's bidding, and I could see it from that. But yeah,
well then what are we doing with Thanksgiving? Should we just jettison Thanksgiving? Like you've got October's holiday and December's holiday. And sandwiched in between them that doesn't get the celebration that it probably, I don't know, does it deserve it? Who knows? But it doesn't get any celebration, right? If you can't call something a fall festival and celebrate both Halloween and Thanksgiving, then Thanksgiving is just going to get cut out entirely.
Thanksgiving has never been more than the John the Baptist for the literal Jesus Christ that is Christmas, okay? Let's get that straight. Let's get that straight.
No, I'm with you. It's a second-tier holiday, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sandwiched between two top-tier holidays.
It's the starting pistol of Christmas.
Uh-huh. It tells everybody, all right, it's okay now to put up your decorations for Christmas.
It's the palate cleanser from the ghouls and goblins to the elves and the sugar and spice. That's all it is. Yeah. Thank God, we need a fire break. We need a fire break. Or
sure.
You know what? If Thanksgiving ever fell, Halloween wouldn't last another few years. Yeah,
and then they're coming for
we
Easter.
We need Thanksgiving holding the line. Yeah. It's just Omni Christmas, and who wants that?
All right, let's go on to the next scene. Dorothy's husband, Wayne, comes to pick her up at the jail in a suit because they're headed to their mother's house for a Christmas card thing. And he brought her makeup and stuff so she can get herself presentable. And on the drive, they talk about the tasing. And he apparently told his very connected mother about it. And she's got a man named Danish Graves, a lawyer, on the case. And Dot's a little dismayed that he would tell his mother.
Yeah, there's a couple of these where, there's this great kind of Raising Arizona riff where she asks if she can fix her hair and she gets like a Nick Cage crazy hair shot. But she's like really worried in a way you wouldn't expect a housewife arrested mistakenly arrested at a school function to be worried about fingerprinted. And now she's worried about
database,
lawyers getting involved. And there's like these kind of spidey sense. Something is off about this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of was getting that from the trailer. Again, I feel like the trailer gave away a lot of this first episode, and so it didn't quite hit as the way they wanted it to.
Yeah.
But, maybe we'll get out of that pattern eventually, I'm sure. So let's go over to the Christmas card thing, where we meet the rest of the family as they take a gun-themed photo for the family Christmas card. Over dinner, they talk about the tasing while Danish, the lawyer, tries to keep him from talking too much about it, and Lorraine just sits back and judges everybody. Boy, she's abrasive. Do not like this character. Do not think this character's funny is the problem.
Yeah, so here's the other. As I'm thinking about this, because like, what is funny about this family taking a gun-themed Christmas card? Because this is just the way things are.
And
I comparing this to like the Glass Onion, where I thought Rian Johnson effectively has skewered some of this gun politics stuff, or having the guy who's like wearing his pistol with his G-string bikini in a pool, like literally taking in the pool with him. And like, that's how you like, this is just the way things are, man. This is like where like a third of the politicians in the Midwest and the South, this is how they send Christmas cards to their constituents, man. Like, you to effectively parody or satire something, you'd have to like take it to the next level. And I don't know. But yeah, Lorraine Lyon, she is, and this is like when she's saying we're projecting our values. I like to project our values. That's literally what she's doing. She's projecting these values. She doesn't go to the fucking range. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe she goes outside and shoots her guns. But like, clearly not all of her family. Her husband doesn't give a shit about this. Certainly her son, daughter, and granddaughter don't. It is wild. Although I will say that they consistently show Scotty, like they're positioning Scotty as this Tom girl character, and there's hints. I'm pretty sure that they're establishing that she's Roy's daughter. In actuality, if you look at the timelines, they're lining up. But she looks, of all the family, almost the most comfortable one holding the gun. It's like they're suggesting that like Roy's DNA. they're saying something about nature versus nurture, I think. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I look at this and I say, yeah, I've seen these cards before, unironically. It's, and I don't know if this is Holly's intention, is to say that, just hold up a mirror and say this is how things are, or if he thinks that he's parodying something.
I don't know. Because I say this to my son all the time. It's like, man, when I grew up, there weren't this skull, flag, and gun shit. This is that's like if you saw that, it was like weirdo bikers. And it's like all of the it's just it's very strange to me, like what has happened in the last 20-30 years.
Oh yeah,
I grew up in the bicentennial where everyone's kind of still proud of the country and lots of problems and whatnot, but people we didn't have Punisher skulls and AR-15s on everything, and that is wild.
And there's a point in here during this dinner where they start to talk politics, and the grandfather here says no politics at the table, which I thought was interesting. Because they seem to be willing to put politics into every other aspect of their lives, but the table is sacred, I guess. I don't know. The dinner.
A little bit of like the Godfather's wife saying no politics at the table, and it's like or no business at the table. It's like it's a little bit of in denial that they're in the situation they're in.
Yeah, I don't know if that's to keep things polite or if that's because he personally doesn't agree with the politics. Because like he's the guy who doesn't know how to hold the gun, right? Doesn't know if he wants to hold the gun or the glass. So it might be his policy, and that's the one thing he stakes out in this relationship. Because he is definitely not. He does not have equal hand in this relationship, I would say. No.
And I did kind of like, I thought Wayne is consistently the funniest character, though. Like, he tries to make this joke about, I love you, I voted for you twice, and the Attorney General's like, that's not funny in this political climate. And there's also, like, I really like, there's a little sly commentary about the crime thrillers, because the conceit of the Fargo, or these are all tales from this Midwestern true crime novel, this apocryphal crime novel, and Lorraine here is poo-pooing crime thrillers, as something that needs funding or people should be reading or engaging with at all.
Yeah.
I thought some of that meta stuff is kind of, it's droll, it's not like laugh out loud funny. It's just kind of burn after reading funny.
Sure. I can see it. So Dot and Wayne and Scotty all go back home that night, and Scotty asks Dorothy if she's going to jail, and she says no, it'll get sorted out. And then she reads her daughter a bedtime story. And when she goes to get in her bed, her husband suggests a tumble, but it was a long day, so she goes to sleep. And I think maybe dreams of a ranch and some family with John Hamm. I can't tell if this is a dream or if this is supposed to be cutting to the scenario we'll see later.
That's the thing. Like it's like it's a setup where it's like she sees Roy doing Roy shit. There's this interesting shot where there's clearly Gator, dressed up like Jack Skellington. And then he's got the two lesser demons. I don't know if it's Lock, Stock, or Barrel. side by side with him. I think this is like a premonition, or like they're like a literal
They're haunting
manifestation of a spidey sense that like, oh my god, my fingerprints are in the system. I can already feel the my webs trimmering, you know.
And this will happen again next episode too, where she'll have like a kind of vision-esque sort of thing of Roy.
She also sees this what I consistently refer to in my notes as the Scotsman, but I think is actually Old Munch. This,
okay.
I don't think he's been mentioned in the series, his name, but this Old Munch character.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like all the people who were gunning for her, I guess.
Yeah, and we kind of get to see a little bit of the life they have here, which seems pleasant enough at home. And I think this is a family that I feel good about, as opposed to their parents.
Yeah, and he's there's also the Fargo parallels here with the dad being managing a car dealership.
Oh yeah, I mean his office in that second episode looks exactly like the office that.
And you can in the background
Wayne,
you can
the Lundegaard, whatever his first name is.
Yeah, Jerry. And
Jerry,
you can talk about him like, I got to send these VINs into the company, and in the background you can hear people talking about True Coat. So yeah.
Yeah.
Again, he's like I said, he's checking off all the references, but I don't know. There's I feel like a little zest missing. There's nothing. A lot of previous Fargo seasons I felt worked because it was more than the sum of its parts. But so far, I felt like these two episodes were just kind of the sum of their parts.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you. They have a bad Hey Joe cover here. I don't know what that's all about. I'm not a fan of that one. I prefer the Hendrix original, but what are you going to do? Assuming that's original by Hendrix. I don't know. That might be a cover. Anyway, the next morning, Wayne is leaving for work, and he takes Scotty to school, and he suggests Dorothy stay away from school for a few days. So she's home alone, pun intended. Dorothy watches TV and knits when two men in hoods and hammers break into her house. She almost manages to fight them off, but she takes a tumble down the stairs and gets cornered.
This fall, I don't think I've seen a worse, more convincing fall. Like, how the hell did they do that and not kill someone since, like, season 3 of Better Call Saul? Where Chuck hit his head on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, fuck.
Oof.
It's sickening. The, and how she didn't. She is a tiger. Honestly, I just didn't knock her the fuck out.
I think so there were two things they did that were fairly realistic in this show. One is when they're firing guns later, like when the kidnapper who survives fires a gun next to Joe Keery's head, they actually have his eardrums like blow out, right? His ears are bleeding in that scene. I'm like, oh my god, first time I've seen that on TV actually happen the way it would really happen.
Although he doesn't act like he doesn't act like he's
later
impaired at all the rest of the episode. But yeah, it was nice to see a burst eardrum.
And the other time they do it is I think here, because she kind of is knocked out for a second, but that's usually how being knocked out works.
True.
You're knocked out for a second, you wake right back up, and you're a little disoriented, but you don't stay out for 5 minutes. Because if you did, you're dead. Like,
it's a serious cranial event happening with you.
Yeah. So I actually appreciated that she fell down, hit her head, woke up like 4 seconds later, and was just kind of out of it a little.
And it's so weird because, like, I was expecting this to be a lot more funny Home Alone, but this whole encounter felt like something from Bloodborne or Dark Souls. You got this guy in a dingy kilt with a black bag over his head.
Well, he's a nihilist.
And it's all off-centered. And
there's so much Fargo and Big Lebowski in this scene, right? Like, the chase up the stairs into the bathroom is, I mean, that's Fargo. The only difference is Jerry's wife ends up, like, wrapped up in a shower curtain like an idiot, screaming and running for her life. But, like, here Juno Temple's getting a little bit of the upper hand, and the Big Lebowski of it all is these guys are nihilists. They're dressed weird. They've got the weird accent, right? You've got the other part of Fargo, which is like the Steve Buscemi and the Peter Stormare of it all.
And this old Munch is very that Peter Stormare, thick accent,
absolutely
weirdo, capable of extreme violence.
Yeah, very
So
like
checking
not
off-
sympathetic
checking off all
to
the
the
boxes.
injuries of his partner.
But the way they filmed this wasn't like funny or madcap. It was threatening. Like the way the music coming to a crescendo as this guy got closer and closer to opening the bathroom door, and she comes out of that like fucking Rorschach versus the cops and Watchmen with the hairspray and the torch and then it's like instead of Marv like screaming in a funny way, this guy's screaming in like, oh my god, my face is melting kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I did, but there even I did laugh because like when that guy finally came down the stairs and like Munch is on the landing looking down at Dorothy or at Dot there, and his partner comes around and his head's still smoking, like smoldering. I mean, that was kind of funny, but
it is
not as funny as Kevin McAllister. Yeah.
Sure. All right, Wayne and Scotty arrive home and they find the front door open, blood on the floor, and Dorothy missing. So Wayne calls the cops. And Indira Olmstead, the same officer who arrested Dorothy, responds to the call. She investigates and says, "What the heck?"
Yeah, she's the latest Marge Gunderson spirit channeler.
Totally.
On the show, and she's nailing the voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like Juno Temple's voice in this.
Yeah, she's really entertaining.
Yeah, coming from Ted Lasso to this, I'm like, oh, that's a big change. Good job.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I was a little worried because I've only seen Juno Temple in The Offer and Ted Lasso, and I had a hard time on either of those roles seeing her as this kind of mousy Midwestern housewife. And I gotta say, 30 seconds in this season, I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't. I have no more concerns.
Yeah, same here. She's great.
Yeah, she's just killing. She's killing it.
Mm-hmm. I like this weird look on the cop's face, on Indira's face, when she goes up to the bedroom, and I can't tell if that is from the decor in the room, which is a little quirky, or if it's from the smell of burning flesh and hair.
I took it was the smell because she kind of crinkles her nose a couple times as she gets closer, and it's got to smell like hell. Like,
yeah.
Burnt meat plus hair plus synthetic. Yeah, it's gotta smell like the worst.
It's great though. So Wayne goes to his mother with the news of Dot's disappearance, and Danish expects that it's a kidnapping and that they'll want a ransom. And Lorraine says we need to keep things quiet. Don't get the upper levels of law enforcement involved.
Now, I know because of my preseason research that Lorraine Lyons is like the largest debt collection company. The Lyons Corporation is the largest debt collection company in the nation. And it makes it extra sinister when they're talking about being cash rich because of the market volatility. They're profiting off of out of the rest of our misery. So it kind of like, if the Christmas gun-toting postcard didn't convince you, although I guess we can't. We live in glass houses because like 3 Christmas ago we sent out a Christmas card that had a gun prominently featured on a Christmas card.
That was a parody. That's firmly in the parody.
First of all, that was an airsoft rifle, and yes, you were trying to be John McClane on Die Hard, but yeah, like
for God's sake.
Yeah, they're painting a picture of the Lion Company.
Yeah, this is to note. This is slightly pre-pandemic, right? This is October of 2019,
COVID-19, which is named after the year it was discovered. So yeah, I think we're like a month away from the first case being documented.
Yeah, I think like December they started talking about this could be bad, and then March is when everything shut the fuck down.
Yeah, so. Yeah. That's the timeline for sure.
Yeah. I do wonder if we're going to get to that point, if this season is going to end somewhere inside of the pandemic, or if this is all going to take place before.
Look for people coughing and sneezing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I don't think COVID broke out in Fargo. I don't think that was ground zero.
Probably not. No.
So it'd have to go pretty far into the future to get there, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Indira goes home and she's looking at her mail. It's all past due bills. And her husband is practicing his golf swing for a tournament that he entered on his what looks like a very expensive video golf setup. I can't tell if him entering this tournament cost him $2,500 or the prize is $2,500. Based on her reaction, it's impossible to tell.
I think it was a buy-in.
I
Because
thought
why
so
would
too,
her reaction be that way if not?
Because it could be a small amount that won't actually help them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, $2,500. Although $2,500 seems like if it was a prize to win and he had a chance at it. The other weird thing is, like, I don't know anything about professional golf. I enjoy playing golf. I've done it for a time or two. Just went to Topgolf last weekend. Had a great time. I know the Hilton Head is a legit tournament. It kind of blew my hair back. He came in second. Like, that makes me think it's not a pipe dream. Like, yeah, he might go good. Legit. Yeah, and it's like if you're making it's my understanding if you're making the tournaments on a regular, if you're in the top 100 in the country, which I think he would be if he's taking second place at a relatively serious tournament, you can easily make six figures, low six figures. But then as you work your way up, you start making, it's like, I feel like the show wants me to think that this is a pathetic thing, but then they said it came in second in Hilton Head. I'm like,
yeah, well, I know nothing about golf either, professional golf either. What I can say for certain is that he does not come in second in a prominent tournament with that swing. Did you see the swing he does at the end of this scene? It's pathetic.
Yeah, but okay.
Unless that's a chip shot or something, that's not a drive. That's a bad drive.
Routinely, I see people who are supposed to be professional guitarists on TV that clearly have no idea and they're not moving their fingers correct. So it's like, I just don't.
Is it
like,
a case
this
of
guy's,
that or?
Yeah, he's an actor. He's not a professional golfer. So like, is that was I supposed to know his swing was so bad?
Well, was I supposed to know that Hilton Head is a prominent tournament? Because I didn't. So I see that swing and I'm like, oh yeah, he's got no shot. He's hopeless. He might as well have come in second in a mini golf tournament,
Everything else about the scene made me think that he's a joke. That clearly he's spent, it's like this is something his family can't afford. This is a pipe dream. His wife is losing hope. They're going deeper in debt. He refuses to take shifts at, I don't know, Red Lobster, whatever the hell it was.
Is that supposed to be Applebee's? I don't know.
Applebee's or Red Robin, Red Lobster, some shitty restaurant town. He won't do that because he wants to focus on his golfing. But then he comes in second in Hilton Head. So,
but then
he's also got a terrible swing. Mechanically, it's just broken.
So I don't know. Also, that's even for an Imagine Dragons fan, that is way too many Imagine Dragons posters. Did you see the background? There's three of them.
I did not. Proximity. But they're starting to paint a picture of this guy.
Yes,
and the fact that he's also got this, not for nothing, he's got the pretty attractive young wife. Wants to go to bed with them, and he's blowing her off.
Yeah, just a few more swings.
Seems sad. Seems like a sad situation. It's like the total opposite of Marge and her husband, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it's like diametrically opposed.
For sure. Yeah, well, I assume we'll see more of that. You don't introduce this plot line without having it come back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're probably definitely doing something with, like, the relationship between men and women. You contrast, like, the...
Roy?
Yeah, Roy and even Ms. Lyon, they're, like, extreme, different conceptualizations of feminism and masculinity. He's definitely comparing, contrasting stuff. So probably Lars is a piece of that puzzle.
Is that his name, Lars? Wow.
I think so. Yeah, I looked up a lot of stuff because I was like, I can't get away with just saying cop lady and cop lady's husband. I need. I
can't.
Names.
I've only seen it once. Didn't have time to watch it twice. Didn't have time to do that.
Are you busting out Idrina, right?
Indira, yeah.
Indira. See,
I looked up a few of the main players, but not the ancillary characters yet. So the burned kidnapper, who apparently you say is Munch, old Munch.
No, that's the other guy. Yeah, he's some. They name check him, but yeah, the kilt wearer, Old Munch.
Gotcha. All right, so the other guy, his partner, the Steve Buscemi of this Fargo scene, is worried about his burns. Dot says, "Yeah, you probably need to go to the hospital." They're transporting her somewhere. A cop car pulls out of a driveway behind him. They're apparently driving a stolen car, which is very Fargo. The cops pull him over. When they stop, Dot makes a run for it. The kidnappers end up shooting one of the cops, and the other makes a run to a nearby service station where Dot has also happened to run to. The cop gets shot in the leg and limps inside. Do we want to talk about this in chunks, or do we want to go through this whole
Let's stop
sequence?
here, because I do want to say that I thought the blue and red lighting in the beginning of this highway shootout was lovely. Classic signature Noah Hawley. I did wonder why the cop changed direction to pursue them as like on sight. It wasn't like he ran their plates. It's just like he was planning. You notice his turn signal was planning to go the other way, and as soon as they go past, the cop was like, "Man, could he really see that dude's burned face?" Or
Yeah.
did Dot look like?
I mean,
she
the
was
guy looks right
handcuffed,
at him,
or-
right? Like that's the thing that kills me is if you're trying to hide your burns on the left side of your face from the cop, maybe don't turn your head to the right and look right at him.
He's not very smart. He's very much in that mold of Steve Buscemi, like down to the facial injury and the muling through it. And
Oh yeah, this is
complaining
100%
about
that
it.
scene.
Also, Juno Temple's feet are made of hardened leather. She's got hobbit feet. She gets out barefoot and sprints down the shoulder of this highway.
Mm-hmm.
Like John McClane's got nothing on this lady's feet.
Oh yeah, I mean, including the glass. She's yeah,
Yeah, it's incredible. I can't believe it.
yeah. She's a lion, man. She's a tiger.
Also, this cop I thought was pretty smart and, acted fairly in his best self-preservation, but then it killed me when he gets to the convenience store and he stands in this bright pool of light looking out into the darkness like, dude,
I know.
your night vision, man. Your night vision. They can
so
see you. You
exposed.
can't see shit. Get in there. Get in, but get your ass behind some cinder block, okay?
Yeah, and kill the lights inside. Like, leave the lights on outside, kill the lights inside the store, and you got it made.
Yeah, but, cops in Fargo, kind of dumb. Although he's not. He's not a dumb cop. They just needed him to be dumb so he could get his leg shot.
Yeah. There could have been better ways to do that, but I was thinking the same thing.
It is funny how he, goes in a straight line. There's something we need to talk about. Notice the fact that this deputy takes the shortest distance between the highway to the filling station. Mm-hmm. And notice that Dot did not take that route at all, and she beats him there. I think that's very interesting in light of some other things in this episode.
Do you think there's a fantastical element that they're introducing? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, there's got to be. Has there been one single fucking season of Fargo without it?
No. I guess I don't expect it to be the Dot character, but who knows?
Well, maybe something's helping Dot. Maybe she's able to fucking bend time and space. I don't know, but I've got questions.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it just worked out with distance and his sprinting speed. I don't know. She's super fast.
Just notice it for now.
Yeah,
it'll come back later.
All right, let's get to the second half of this scene. Also pretty exciting. Dot, inside the service station, springs into action, creating booby traps to defend it. Dot incapacitates one of the kidnappers with a bag of ice in the bathroom. Actually ends up killing him. We'll find out later. The other shoots his way in the front door and does battle with the cop until Dot gets him with a shovel. And she goes to patch up the bleeding cop. And when she returns to where the shoveled guy was, Old Munch, he's gone. And then backup arrives and Dot flees the scene.
Can you walk me through a couple things? Can you walk me through the logic of what Dot was like? Okay, I understand the broken, like the oil near the front door.
Yeah,
that makes sense. What the hell is she doing in that bathroom? What is with the glow sticks? What is with the ice scattered on the floor? Like, it seems like she could have just got the job done by hiding outside the bathroom door and hitting this guy in the face with the bag of ice, which is what she ends up doing.
Sure. I don't exactly know. I mean, she clearly is setting up slippery traps, right? That's the thing. Oil by the front door, ice in the bathroom. But I'm not sure what the glow sticks are about.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
How did Burnface get into that bathroom?
He climbed through that window.
He climbed through that broken window. The broken window.
Uh-huh.
The broken window that wasn't even
has...
fully broken out, that still had massive pieces of glass and would keep someone from actually getting in through that window.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, it's the only way he could have gotten in there, right?
Is this the worst supernatural villain Fargo's ever had? It's like,
He's dead in the first
like
episode.
Lord Malvo can disapparate from a basement, but he gets bashed he gets killed by a bag of ice. I don't know. It's one of those it's one of those annoying things where I'm like, well, this is Fargo being Fargo, but also no, this guy got killed by the shitter. How can he be some kind of...
Unless he shows back up, yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Oh, if he's like... Because they do name check... Oh, my God. They do name check zombies in this episode. And it is Halloween.
Oh,
what are the odds this guy goes down to the morgue because everybody thinks he's dead and he just, like, comes back to life?
He's going to be like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers type guy where he's
he's got the face
he's wearing a mask, he's the unkillable stalker.
God, that they might pull something.
But that guy didn't seem it. Like old
All right,
Munch
Holly. I've taken the Fishnatoes, I've taken the alien invasions. I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse. I'm ready for you. I'm not going to be shocked by anything you'll do. I'm bracing for the zombie apocalypse.
If I were to pick one of those two guys to be a supernatural terror, it would not be him though. It would be old Munch.
Go Munch.
100%.
Go old Munch. Yeah.
This guy seems kind of like a buffoon and easily thwarted. But then again, so does Michael Myers. Like he's easily thwarted by Jamie Lee Curtis. So
if you've seen the first Halloween, Michael Myers is kind of a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
So who knows? Yeah, that could be what they're doing. We'll see.
So they are, but I think they're also putting the supernatural killer thing on Munch because he sees the oil. He could easily avoid it, but no, he puts his boot down at the prime slipping angle. Mm-hmm. There's negative friction coefficients, and he doesn't slip at all.
Yeah. Good boots.
Curious. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you're going to make somebody wearing Minnesota winter boots slip on oil? I don't think so. Now, those boots are going to grab
fucking tile floor.
No, those boots are grabbing anything that you set them on, man. The boots up there are heavy duty.
You know, forget the Bisquick and the Kia. Maybe they should be shouting out this boot manufacturer if they want to do product placement because I'm sold. I will pay upwards of $200 for those boots right now.
Some Arcturus shit they got going on.
He's got like suction cups on their bottom. I don't know, they're like gecko toes.
I really love the air horn gag. So this was one of the laugh out loud moments for me.
Yes.
Because the cop's like, he goes to the clerk and he says, do you have anything to defend this place with? Any weapons back there? And he's like, I've got an air horn. He's like, what's that? It's a thing that makes a real loud noise. And then when old Munch comes in the front door, the kid pops up, blows the air horn, and Munch just blows him away. It doesn't faze him at all.
Yeah, and I guess I was expecting more of this because it was like a super tense scene and it like cut the tension perfectly.
Perfect, yeah.
And then the way like Munch doesn't even react, he just instantly puts his no look, just blow the guy away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It might be the only laugh out loud moment of the evening for me.
And you get the Fargo theme at the end of this scene, and it's not the end of the episode, which I thought was interesting. Kind of puts a stamp on this scene.
Oh, so like other evidence of supernatural killer theory. Did you think it was odd that the cop got the drop on Munch, stood up, squared off with him, and like dumped his whole magazine and hit nothing but air? It felt like those first few shots should have gone right through his fucking O-ring, and they just missed.
Probably. I can't tell, like you said earlier, what's just filmmaking technique of like, oh, we're gonna cut back and forth and it's going to look like he should hit him, but he didn't, but he dove out of the way. It's hard to say, but it could be something supernatural.
Yeah, it feels like one of those... I'm not sure if it's one of those according to Hoyle type miracles, you know, like in Pulp Fiction, but it looked like he should have taken some rounds.
Yeah,
I think he just disappears after she lays him out with a fucking steel shovel, and he hits the ground hard. He's gone in like not even 30 seconds, no trace. There's something up with him, and maybe his partner.
Well, like I said, they depict getting knocked out pretty realistically here. He'd probably be back up and dazed, certainly.
But not hearing him, or
that's
like
the thing.
when
He's struggling and flailing around, you hear the glass under his body big time. So it's strange that you don't hear him at all.
Especially since you're like 12 feet away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's where the cop wants to know her name and she won't tell it to him, and like that's very conspicuous. But I kind of get that from the trailer, like that she's a fugitive of some kind.
Yeah.
So it made sense, but
is she a fugitive from more? I mean, clearly she's a fugitive from Roy. I wonder if she's a fugitive from more than that.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's not. I'm assuming what she's doing is running away from a bad domestic situation with Roy, because boy, he's gonna really play all his cards face up at the beginning of next episode.
This is all Kimmy Schmidt, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. Like where he's running
she's
from
literally
her,
running
and he's
from
law enforcement, so she doesn't want to get law enforcement involved in her life because it'll lead Roy
another
to her.
Another woman running from John Hamm. In a crazy kind of compound type of way.
Yeah, love him or hate him, I guess.
It is interesting because I feel like John Hamm has tried to play the leading man a couple times, and Hollywood's just not having it. So now he's like, you know what? People liked me in Baby Driver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna start being. I'm just gonna start playing villains. Fuck it.
Yeah, why not? I think. Look, he's super adaptable in his roles. I think he plays a great villain in the next episode of this, which we'll talk about more when we get to it.
Don Draper's an anti-hero at best.
Absolutely, yeah. At times, he is very much a villain.
He's quite a villain in a lot of Mad Men.
Yeah. But he's super likable in other things. He's super funny. He's super intimidating in some things. He's a very versatile actor, and I appreciate what he's doing in this role in this next
100%.
episode. Let's go to the final scene here. We go back to the Lion House, where Wayne puts Scotty to bed, and he stays up worrying about Dot, but finally falls asleep in his office. And when he wakes, Dot's just rummaging around in the kitchen, making pancakes, making the Bisquick. And he asks her what the hell happened. And she insists that nothing happened. She just went somewhere to clear her head. She wasn't abducted at all.
It's insane. Like, also, she's making oops all gluten pancakes the way she's just maniacally mixing. Like, you're only supposed to mix.
Dude.
You know this about pancakes. You're only supposed to.
Yeah,
just barely mix it until the wet is wet and the dry is mostly wet, and stop. Like, if you're doing it for more than 10 seconds, it's fucked up.
She knows
this is like Elmer's glue pancakes is what she's making.
Yeah, these are going to be bricks. They're terrible. But she knows this, right? Like, I felt so bad for Juno Temple in this scene. I'm like, I hope they only filmed this once, because that is a hell of a lot of fast stirring.
Yeah,
her arm the next day had to be feeling that. You film that 5, 6, 7 times, and suddenly you can't feel your arms anymore.
I felt so bad for Wayne because he's doing such a great job of playing a guy who is like shell-shocked at how his life has been upended.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hears this commotion from downstairs. He probably doesn't feel safe in his own home. I hear that's like a very common experience of people who have a home invasion or break-in. It's just like you don't feel safe like at night.
Sure.
And there's like a trauma to that. And he hears this commotion. He comes down. He sees his wife alive, and he's elated. But then she's acting like, I think Wayne knows it. Like, he's trying to support his wife as like a bit, like a, well, I'm just going to go along with this, and hopefully she'll work it out on herself, and I'll just support her through the whole thing. But you can just tell he's terrified,
and it
the
doesn't
poor
make
guy.
sense to him, right? Like, he looks at the blood. He's like, what about the blood? And she tries to play it off, but none of these excuses make sense, and he knows
Why
it.
would someone who's obviously been abducted try to play off the abduction as if they were just getting out it's to change to the season? I was getting our hats out, and I got one a little too close to the curler, and I broke something, and I danced in glass, and it's like, what?
Yeah. It's secondhand balaclava you got. No, it's. I like it. I like it. There's a subtlety there. The line that they're writing with Wayne is one of like supportive husband, very concerned, knows something is wrong, but doesn't want to be pushy about it.
Yeah.
It really, they walk that line perfectly for me.
Yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder if they shouldn't have stopped here, because this would have been a nice, mysterious place. You still have essentially Roy on the shelf. People don't know what that's all about. It's an interesting 1-2 punch. Most of the time, when shows do that, it makes sense to me. It doesn't. I can't quite figure out why they decided it was so important to roll these two out.
Yeah. I don't know.
Trying to get that sweet Black Friday, because I will tell you, as someone who watched these live, the commercials they stuffed into these things.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so many commercials on. So maybe they just wanted a big pre-Black Friday advertising slot.
Last chance.
Yeah, I guess.
In.
It's been thin because of the damn strike. So.
All right. What do you say we talk about the second episode?
Yes, let's do it.
That starts off with Roy Tillman telling us about the way things used to be on his ranch. And then he counsels a couple who are having some marital issues. And then a young cop comes in. We'll find out later that his name is Gator, and I believe he's the son of Roy. He comes in and he says, "We missed her."
Here again, like, is this supposed to be satire and comedy? Because as a person who grew up in a small rural town, this is also very real. I heard legendary stories about certain elders tuning up certain brothers in our congregation because they were a little too handsy with their wives or something. And sometimes that lesson stuck, and sometimes it made things worse. And I feel like there is a segment of society that thinks this is kind of how it should go. Like, you don't, you know,
absolutely,
like
there is.
Like people need to be taught lessons, and sometimes you got to slap the women, sometimes you got to slap the men, but everyone's got to be kind of kept in line. And didn't strike me as funny. Like,
yeah, and the power is
it's all
vested in the
horrifying.
Community, not anyone outside of it, right? Like,
yeah,
and
certain
freedom
members
stuff
of the
they're going to get
community
to,
that take it upon themselves. Have you ever heard of a constitutional sheriff?
As a concept, no.
I hadn't either. I guess, like, you've heard of that, like, Joe Arapio guy who's kind of got famous pre-2016 in Arizona. He was one of, I guess, associated with this. But
treating prisoners terribly,
There's this organization called, I think that's like the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peacekeepers of America, and it's a secret organization of some 400 or 500 law persons, probably lawmen.
Like Masons? What? Do they have paddles? Shit.
They believe that that America should be organized bottom up. That, like, the counties and the locales should have supremacy over the state and federal governments, and that they should be able to interpret the Constitution because they're the close to the population.
United States,
yeah. No, I mean it's essentially sovereign citizens trying to go legit.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
All freedom, no responsibility type baby, but
communities should probably have their own currency as well. I think that would really unite the country.
Maybe we should have passports. We go between borders. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
Sign
me up. Give me my papers.
You can only be truly free when you're checking your countryman's paperwork.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this, like, marriage counseling where he's like, oh, I'm gonna beat up your husband because he beat up you, and now after I've done that and I've humiliated him, go home, fix him dinner, suck his dick, and everything's gonna be fine.
Right.
Literally,
cater
the prescription
to his
here.
needs as a man with your mouth in order to sow harmony. Funny line, but this character...
And it's always got this crazy psychosexual stuff, too. You burrow to the center of these things, it's always some kind of fucking kink role play they're doing. And this guy's nipples, they're saying something with it.
I didn't even notice this with one watch. It's amazing, but we'll talk about that.
There's a feast for your eyes, those scenes, so I don't blame you. But
I bet. So here's the thing. I largely don't abide by the philosophies that he's espousing here. But it feels like they're also setting him up to be the Sam Elliott character from The Big Lebowski. You know, the dude abides kind of narrator guy who does show up at the bar.
It's hard to say because there's also this opening monologue starts off with, like, the Tommy Lee Jones... Hard to believe I've been sheriff of this county for X amount of years. Roy was 25. I think Tommy Lee was longer. But I honestly think he's just this feels like a hostage note where he's cutting individual letters out of like magazine covers, and it's like, oh, this is like, yeah, like, is he Sam Elliott or is he No Country for Old Men? Is he Big Lebowski, or is he the I don't know, The Quiet Man, or that wasn't what it's called.
Serious
a Serious Man.
Yeah.
It's just very what do they call that? Collage-y. It's very collage-y.
And I think you run into some tricky situations when you try and do that collage, because I'm taking a lot of baggage into this. When they start him off as like, there was a man, right? That kind of Sam Elliott describing the dude in L.A.
Yeah.
With John Hamm, I'm thinking, oh, they want me to take this person seriously as like a guiding philosophical figure in the movie. Mm-hmm. But then he's saying things that I cannot get behind in any way. So it's tough when you're doing the collage stuff.
And they're approaching too much parody. Like, I think putting the nipple rings on him was a nice choice. I also love him like on his horse, looking up at himself on a billboard on his horse, lauding him as the lawman. And there is some pretty good. I think they're coming closest. He's a hard man
for hard times, and by he I mean me.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Like, they're getting there with John Hamm. They're like, this assignment is understood. But I don't know about the other stuff.
I'm with you. I'm enjoying John Hamm's performance here. As much as I don't like, the character's ideas, I do enjoy watching the character. It's a very quirky and ridiculous character in a lot of ways that I can appreciate. And same with Gator. I think I really like Joe Keery. I think he's doing a great job as playing a younger version of his father, like a more modern version. Like, instead of chomping a cigar, he's smoking a vape. He's got these stupid sunglasses on the back of his head. He's wearing the baseball cap instead of the cowboy hat.
He's got the vanilla ice lines etched into the side of his head.
Just seems like a real douche.
Is Joe Keery trying to get Marvel swole?
Oh, is he looking bigger?
It's too late, man. It's too late. You should have leaned into nice hair androgynous thing, because this show's over. It's all you guys doing cycles, taking HGH, getting yoked. Stop it. Done.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman is the last person who should ever change their body shape to be in a Marvel movie. And I think your agent sold you, but you're trying to fight the last
Adam
war, Joe.
Scott is in that latest Madam Web movie. Was that when we saw the trailer? Was that Adam Scott? Somewhere there?
Was he? Well, that's not really a Marvel film, though.
I mean,
it's
by Marvel Studios.
It's not. I know, but it's not like muscle spandex. Like, if there's 5 minutes of that in that whole movie, I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
it's more of YA crime, urban fantasy.
Maybe it's made by Sony. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So let's go to Roy and Gator.
Yep. Confirmed. Adam Scott is. We did see him in that trailer. He's Ben Parker.
Okay, I don't know if he's getting swole, but that the last train is leaving.
Wait, Madam Web. Oh, so this is young Madam Web. So Madam Web is, because I'm like, wait, at Uncle Ben is young and hot, but I guess so is Madam Web.
Sure.
Crazy times we live in.
All right, so Roy and Gator talk with the kidnapper, Old Munch, about the failed job, and he claims they didn't give him all the information he needed to kidnap her because they didn't tell him that she's a tiger, not a housewife. And tigers cost more and require him to get a different guy. And he asks why they want the tiger. And Roy says it's because she's his wife. Then Roy thanks the kidnapper for his help and sends him off with Gator to get paid.
If Old Munch is a supernatural killer type, why is he complaining about needing more guys and money?
Good question. Maybe he's not the supernatural killer type.
I don't think Lorne Malvo would come back and be like,
No.
So this person a little too like what's a lesser demon going to Don Draper and being like, I could have used 3 guys on this. I could have used shotguns on this job, boss.
Mm-hmm.
You had a fucking assault rifle.
Yeah, you had an automatic weapon. If you can't get the job done with that, I don't know what a shotgun's going to help you.
So remember I talked about how Juno Temple sprinted 3 times the distance as the sheriff and covered in the same amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Gator here says that that all went down outside of Beulah, North Dakota. Do you and we know that Dot lives in Scandia, Minnesota. Do you know how far it is from Beulah, North Dakota to Scandia, Minnesota?
Exactly the same distance as it is from Fargo to Beulah, is my guess.
It's 500 miles.
Oh.
How did
Holy
Dot
shit.
get from Beulah, North Dakota in the same night on foot to Scandia, Minnesota?
She stole a car. 500 miles is a lot of ground to cover, even in a car. That's 8 hours of driving.
Yeah, and like I think they're doing they're doing a bit here, but how many supernatural people we got in this show? Or I don't know. I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting.
500 miles, like as the crow flies east. It's like a straight shot.
Yeah, I mean, so Gator claims later in this episode that business happened up in his county, so they have to be at least pretty close to Beulah, right? At that service station, they can't be hundreds of miles away. And even if
he said no. He said that service. He's actually they're from like Clark County or something. That service station was in Beulah. He said just outside Beulah.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, like they're like yeah. Yeah.
And even if they were hundreds of miles away, that still leaves hundreds of miles to cover. So
on foot.
Yeah.
In, across broken ground. And it's interesting. It's interesting. But,
yeah. And she doesn't have any, like, money or cards or anything with her at this time. I don't think.
I wouldn't think
she's
so.
got a robe and bare feet. She didn't grab her purse on the way out while being kidnapped.
Yeah, she was knitting. Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Hadn't thought about it, but that is super interesting.
I also wonder why they decided to try to kill Old Munch here instead of, paying him for his pain and suffering and having him try again. Because he says he's got instincts. He's the one that can take this tiger down. He just needs more resources.
Yeah.
And then
maybe
I don't know,
they think they got the lead they need, and they're going to take it from here. Because they do send Gator after her later.
Well, I can't believe Joe thinks that Gator is qualified to do. He's aware that his son's an idiot, right? Or maybe he's not.
He actually, I don't think he handles that scenario terribly. When he's actually in the hospital room with him and the picture is there, he gets a look at it, he deletes it, he plays it off like, oh, I'm just an idiot,
Yeah,
he does all right there.
That's not the problem I guess I have with it. It's just that he just seems like he's a much big. Maybe his dad's a poser too, but his dad seems like more substantial.
Agreed. Yeah, and he seems like but he's young. I don't know how young he's supposed to be playing here. If he's supposed to be
that's the next question
20, or if
ask.
he's supposed to be 28, or.
Because here is where they line out. They kind of lay out the relationship that Roy was married to Dot,
mm-hmm.
And she ran off about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Dot and Wayne's daughter Scotty is established to be 9 years old. Are you convinced? I'm pretty convinced that that Scotty is the daughter of Dot and Roy, not Dot and Wayne.
I suppose that timeline is just ambiguous enough to where I could see it going either way, because
and just what they're doing to tomboy nature of Scotty, I think it's supposed to. They're like
I don't know. What do you mean by that?
They're trying to suggest that like that's Roy's heritage bleeding through.
Oh, okay.
Like that didn't come from Dot or Wayne. Like,
guns,
playing hockey and like she's just so like kind of like masculine coded and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. But as far as the timeline goes, I think it could be either. I think like it. Lorraine says that like, oh, you were just some girl that like my kind of dumb son who just likes a tight caboose knocked up. Yeah. So maybe they met like right after she left Roy, and then they hooked up, and it just so happened she got pregnant.
Yeah,
I think
they're passing it off like it's the timing lined up to where she could pass it off as his
potentially
daughter, but
yeah,
it is interesting too because while they're definitely making this girl out to be a tomboy. It seems like the Roy would be really offended at his daughter having these non-traditional
absolutely.
Gender. Yeah, like he would not like his daughter acting this way. So it seems like they're on a collision course. And the way that there's a scene later when Joe is telling when Gator's telling Roy about what Dot's been up to, and he's like she's now this name, and then she's married to this guy who sells Korean cars, and then the face he made when she's got a daughter's 9 years old. It seems like they're all but telling us that that's the parentage. Do you think that Dottie might be the mom of Gator? Because Juno Temple, I think,
possible.
is 32 years old in real life, but I think Juno could play 18 or 40, depending on how you dressed her up.
Yeah.
I don't know that I buy her, like, if, like, Roy took her in hand when she's, like, 16, 17, 18, and she's 40 now. And it really
depends on how old Gator is, right? If Gator's 20, maybe
that's
I
Joe
could see
Creer's
if Gator's 30.
Joe Creer's 32, and he can absolutely play 18 or maybe 40 now that he's got his head all swole up. But yeah, I think it could, like, if you say to if you say that Dot's 40, I think that could line up that, and they might be doing something interesting with the brother, sister, dad, mom, nature, nurture.
Because I think John Hamm's playing about
conservative.
50s, so somewhere in his
feels
50s
like
in
it.
this.
Yeah, pretty much what he is in real life.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see how that all shakes out, because I don't think we've heard the whole story yet.
Yeah.
One other note. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but the kidnapper here, Old Munch, says name checks nihilism in this, which is straight out of The Big Lebowski. I mean, he is the Peter Stormare character.
And he talks like Jack and Hagar.
Yeah, he's got a really weird accent.
Yeah, like the way he says a man is grateful. A man wonders why you want to tiger. And
he's saying he knows people. He knows what they're thinking. He knows their instincts. And I'm very much getting that supernatural sort of vibe from him. Where
yeah, except for I've never seen an incompetent supernatural killer. Like someone who just fucks up, doesn't get the job done, gets humbled. But maybe
Lord Malvo doesn't end up winning.
True.
Even though he's up against kind of a dumbass.
Yeah,
with the help of Colin Hanks.
You're right, and doesn't the menacing grenade-toting biker get blown up at the end too? Like he doesn't
in Raising Arizona.
Yeah, he doesn't kill. Is it Loy?
No, he doesn't.
It's high. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, so it's like maybe I'm over. Maybe I'm over leaning on early season Lorne Malvo.
Yeah, he was a badass, but ultimately he lost.
Yeah.
Kind of. There's that scene in the bar later, which is interesting, but I don't know. Maybe he didn't lose. So after the meeting, Gator takes Old Munch out behind the barn, literally, where they try and kill him, but he manages to escape. Grabs like Gary by the balls and just twists.
The way he screams, I think, and my read on this is Gator's too dumb and Munch is too smart to fall for this. And also,
he knows what's up.
What are the firing lines that these guys are setting up?
Dude, that crossfire killed me. I'm like, you step out of the way, Kiri.
Yeah, like these guys. Oh man, I'm like, am I supposed to know that this is because like I think it's also in Holly's envelope that sometimes he just does shit like this. Because it's a prettier shot, logic be damned. So it's like I just don't quite know what is like. Hey, did you know? Just like the guy's golf swing. Is that an actor with a bad golf swing, or is that her husband being delusional?
Right.
Because that's what I was thinking. Is Gator just seems like a complete dumb fuck. He seems like a complete mall ninja wannabe.
I mean, maybe they underestimated the Old Munch because he couldn't get the job done. Right. He couldn't take this one little girl, as they call her, or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were like, he'll just crumple,
Yeah, like 100 pounds. Struggle with a girl, 100 pounds soaking wet. Yeah, maybe. But that crossfire situation fucked up.
I agree.
That's just a bad tactical situation, man.
Agreed.
And like I said, Gator gets deafened, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be. I was expecting that to be a thing because I'm like, oh my god, a show actually realistically displayed like how fucking loud a gun is right by your head. But I was expecting him to have like cotton in his ear and kind of like, the rest of the season.
At least a couple of watts this episode, but
next episode, no apparent long-term damage. But maybe he's faking it because he doesn't want people asking questions. But he's got the fucking cast on his wrist. Like if people want to ask, like, what the fuck happened to you? Yeah, I don't get it.
I think this cast is coming back in a big way. I think that's going to get used as this is a Chekhov's cast, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
How's it going to get used?
It's going to get used as a weapon or against him or something. It's going to get
a battering ram or something. Okay.
Yeah. So Dot denies to the cops that any crime happened. Wayne is supportive, and Indira, that's her name. The cop is suspicious. She mentions that she's going to review the traffic cameras, which gets Dot real nervous. And they tell the cop to, they tell Indira to contact them through their attorney from now on.
I like how lyrical some of this dialogue is, like, and how people, like what does the Wayne say about sex? You want to take a tumble or have a tumble? Mm-hmm. And then the cop says, ask her questions about the balaclava in your boudoir.
Moist propose. I mean, there's a lot of really fun lines, dialogue in here.
But this is just transparently ridiculous. Like her saying, like, what about your blood type doesn't match the blood we found on the floor? She's like, oh, hospitals and their records. I heard about this guy going to St. Paul for a kidney transplant, came out with a different brain. Uh-huh. And the cop's like, that doesn't sound accurate, but...
Yeah.
And Wayne's just backing her all the way, because I really do feel like he's like, if I give her enough time to process this, she'll come out. She's in shell shock, And
this is leading into some of the issues we're having in our society with truth and what is it? What are facts anymore, right? Like if you can just conjure up an anecdote that is obviously on the face of it false and use that as reasoning to support your argument,
and enough people,
how are you going to get called
on? Yeah.
How do we hold people accountable for that stuff? And apparently we don't, unless we go just investigate behind the scenes.
I keep coming back to Chernobyl. Like Jerry Harry said, every lie told incurs a debt to the truth, and the bill will be paid one day. It's just how much pain and misery are you going to run up before then?
Yeah. So Danish Graves tells Lorraine what happened with Dot, and Lorraine is not buying Dot's lies. Thinks it might be a plot by Dot and Wayne to take what's hers, her money. And they start to formulate a plan to figure out what's really going on by dividing and conquering them. It's another Big Lebowski reference here where Danish suggests that maybe she kidnapped herself.
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of like burn after reading in this with God, who's the guy that plays Omni-Man and Jonah J. Jameson and Spider-Man?
Yep,
you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Talitha, our producer with the assist, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons, like the head of the CIA, and his underlings are reporting about this crazy situation, and he's like, I felt like there's a little bit of Lorraine in that, like, kind of, in the early, it's like early goings to trying to piece together this thing that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But I also thought it was interesting how her speech about her son's marriage and the debt that she's incurred is almost identical to Roy's.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they're like, two peas in a pod. I mean, a lot of their philosophies are very similar about people's roles in society and the way things should be and stuff like that.
I feel like they're P and anti-P. Like, you get some dilithium crystals, you got warp drive there. Like this... it's
one's a city girl, the other's a country boy. I think there might be some friction there, but philosophically, I don't think they're that far apart.
Yeah, it's just that it's like sound waves are pitched at different frequencies, cancel each other out. They definitely have the same worldview. It's just the supremacy of who's on top, I think, is different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's move on to Roy taking a dip in his hot tub when Gator comes up to give him the info about Dot's new life. And then the FBI shows up and they want to know why he's not enforcing any of their federal laws. And he claims he is the law. Judge dreads him and then goes on at length about what that means before dismissing them.
I love the fact that his hillbilly hot tub, the exhaust is mounted at a head level.
Uh-huh.
That wind shifts, of course, because the guy's just smoking cigarettes 24/7. Maybe he likes the wood pellet smoke. Maybe he likes that. Yeah,
well, I was
part
thinking,
of the ambiance.
Has anybody ever built a combo hot tub and smoker? Because why not throw some meat under that thing and get your smoke on while you're taking a dip?
I can think of no reason why someone shouldn't, and someone should have already. Maybe my brother-in-law, because he just got a hot tub this year, and he's also way into smoking.
Suggest it. Just put your hot
tub
on top of your smoker.
For the holidays, I'm going to suggest, hey, have you ever thought about... Yeah, have you ever thought about mixing your chocolate milk and piss, huh?
Also, the smoke coming out right at head level would smell so much better. Get the meat
true.
smell in there. Oh, man.
True.
Make you hungry.
Like I was like, that doesn't know about Koreans making cars. That's got to be a bit, right?
Doesn't know about it? Like,
yeah,
because
he's like, her husband works at a car dealership selling the Korean cars. Like, Koreans make cars?
I guess, what are there only Ford and, I don't know, GM dealerships out there? Is that it?
I guess.
In the country?
Probably Chrysler. But there's also this, I just like every detail he hears about his wife's new living experience. His nose wrinkles a little bit more. You know, this isn't what he envisioned for her at all.
It struck me in this scene, we don't actually know her real name yet.
We don't.
We know it's Dot, but he never gives her name as his wife, right? And we know that Dot is a phony name.
True.
So...
but yeah, we've kind of talked about a lot of this, the constitutional sheriff and his views on it, and he gives this, he does have a point about legal versus moral. I do believe there's a distinction between what's legal and it's,
horse in a bathtub, no problem. Get it in there, wash it, scrub it up.
Elks and sandboxes, why not? But I don't like a singular person choosing what is the difference between legal and moral and what to enforce and not enforce.
Yeah, this is the problem, right? He is the law, and that's...
Yeah, we have a process where we all as a community decide those things, and then once we do, please make sure everyone goes along with these.
Well, and his response is, I was elected sheriff. The people have authorized me to take the law into my own hands. That's what he would say about that, and it's what he kind of does say in this scene.
Yeah, 100%. And he's bound by duty, blood, and tradition, and soil to do these things.
That's the thing. But he's not an entirely ridiculous character, and you do have to take him seriously. Both, from a philosophical standpoint, but also a physical standpoint. Like, this man... I think could be a very dangerous man, obviously. But they do a lot of stuff to undermine it, too, in this scene. Like that walkie-talkie, when the feds drive up and they park and he gets he gets a call over the radio saying the feds are here, and he says, send them up. They're within eyeshot. They're like 30 feet from him. They parked next to his hot tub. So there's this like facade of a serious man.
Yeah,
that he's keeping up. It's almost an appearance thing,
he's like
as
a head
opposed
of
to an
state with
actuality.
bodyguards, and he's got dudes on his compound at all
right.
times.
But if you have a compound where the feds can pull up 30 feet from your most vulnerable position, what kind of compound and security is that really?
And they're trying to get, because I did a little bit into these constitutional sheriffs. I guess there's been some pretty infamous standoffs with federal officials because, again, they believe America's upside down. They want to be the supreme rulers and the people in Washington. So they have, there's been armed standoffs with the BLM, which Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matter.
Okay. Makes a lot more sense, actually.
Although it's it's kind of a vertical industry for them.
Sure.
But yeah, and I did also like because she's got this point. It's like, what does freedom mean? Like, that's something I think we should debate more as Americans. Like, what is freedom and liberty? There's also nice to be free from a concern of catastrophic health thing happening to you and impoverishing your whole family for generations. That's a form of freedom, that we don't enjoy this country. But I like how he threw back in his face. It's like, lady, if you don't know what freedom is, me saying the words ain't going to teach you. Like, yeah, he was rhetorically effective against the federal agents. I thought the federal agents got back the fuck off by his rhetoric. They weren't ready.
More than his rhetoric.
It's like a judge when they get a sovereign citizen in their courtroom. They're like, what? Wait, you're saying words that I'm not understanding.
Yeah. It's because the philosophies come so far to left field. You're not prepared to deal with them, right? You don't know the arguments because you haven't considered these crazy thoughts.
You didn't get sent to law school to be taught that, when there's the gold fringe around the American flag, that's an admiralty flag, and that means this court is illegitimate, and I need to be tried under... I need to be...
maritime law, yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, if you want to laugh, Google sovereign citizen on YouTube. It's you'll have just a good old time watching people try not to get arrested and not to have to pay taxes.
Don't pay your taxes.
Not be put in prison just because they're sovereign citizens of America. They're not like the sheeple, They don't have social security numbers. They've renounced.
I really want to know what's going on with Roy's frontal assault here. Because the way that FBI agent reacts to it is not one of, this man is inappropriately flashing me. It's kind of genuine disgust. I want to know what's happening.
Well, John's ham is fairly legendary. It's up there with Justin Theroux in terms of menace.
It's its size that makes it offensive?
So, or just shocking to one. The thing is they taped that hog up, man. I was expecting to see some danglage because the angle and the way he spread his legs you got to see like the opportunity was there.
Yeah, this is typical Hollywood stuff, right? It's a rare movie that will actually let the dangle happen.
Yeah, penises are threatening. I get it.
Yeah.
But like from the I don't know. Did they digitally paint it out? Because there should have been. It's a hot tub. You can't argue Shrinky Dink because of the Fargo nature. He's getting right out of a hot tub.
Look, man, I've seen this episode once. I missed the nipple rings altogether, so I definitely didn't pick up no dangle.
No, I was looking for it. And
describe these nipple rings for people who might have missed it, because I missed it.
They're like the horseshoe style. They're like a U with two balls at the end, and
I thought you like literally meant horseshoes. Like this was a symbol of his ranch or something. He had his nipples pierced with actual horseshoe.
Yeah, man, they're
rings.
like these 5-pound nipple weights, just dangling, just pulling those suckers out, man.
I would have picked up on giant horseshoes. But you know what I mean, miniature horseshoes. Notes.
Yeah, no, and standard horseshoe lore would say that horseshoes painted down are unlucky, or pointed down are unlucky, because they can't hold the luck. They got to be pointed up to catch the luck and hold it. So.
And this man, this masculine superhero, this crusader for tradition in men's roles, is piercing his nipples?
Are you saying that nipple rings are not masculine?
I'm saying that he would say that 100%, and yet he has them.
We just watched Napoleon last night.
Where his nipple? Did I miss pierced Joaquin?
No,
Phoenix
I was just going like,
okay.
is he going to be like an actual power bottom for somebody? Like, because that's
potentially, yeah. I mean, that can be the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
You protest too much about your masculinity.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. You don't see on a guy like Roy, you don't see nipple rings often.
No. That was interesting.
That's it's nothing. They're not illegal or immoral apparently in his eyes.
He does have a Roy Tillman towel that he covers himself in. He's very much wrapped up in his own image. Literally.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind having one of those for the beach. That'd be pretty sick.
A Roy Tillman I don't know. You might want to see the whole series before you go buying a Roy Tillman gear.
I think I've already seen enough to know that like you don't be ironically funny, but yeah, also how would it play?
You'd get a lot of people coming up to you. Right on, man. Right on.
Right. That's true. That's true. Go down to the panhandle of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Want to go shooting? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Kinda.
Sure. Why not? All right, let's move on. Dot and Scotty arrive home to find Lorraine waiting for them. Lorraine asks.
Oh wait,
Dot,
one thing we didn't touch on is like the whole reason the FBI is there is not just because he's not enforcing the law, but they're also intimating that he's involved with a bunch of illegal activities.
Okay, yeah, important.
What is what is a county sheriff in North Dakota? Like what? Yeah, like what kind of fucking illegal activities? Like we've seen the type of illegal activities that are happening. It's all done by these kind of like trucker gangs. Never seen like the law super involved with it. So this might be a little bit of a nakedly corrupt cops kind of storyline too.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Dot and Scotty arrive home to find Lorraine waiting for them. Lorraine sits down with Dot and asks about the abduction. Dot sticks to her story, but Lorraine thinks she's up to something, and she makes a threat of cutting Wayne out of her will, and thereby her, unless Dot leaves him. And Dot says, changes demeanor here. It says, if you want to tussle with me, you better sleep with both eyes open, because nobody takes what's mine and lives. And then Lorraine leaves.
There's a couple of interesting things I think that they're doing here, because we know that Dot is not a true lion, but I thought it was interesting that Lorraine, when she's saying, someone came for you and you got away and now you're lying about it. Mm-hmm. I think they're suggesting that she is becoming more of like Lorraine's image of a lion. I know she's clearly it's about lies, but I think there's a little interesting verbal wordplay there.
Yeah, she congratulates her for standing up for herself when the kidnapper came in, right? Like you almost fought them off. Well, good. She literally, like, that's the only thing she's ever said to Dot that has been positive.
And then I thought it was interesting that Jerome, who I thought seemed pretty cool for being this woman's major domo, being real cool with Scotty about,
Star Wars,
embrace
and
her
Jedi
ninja
and
stuff.
Samurai.
But he says calls her young Skywalker. Mm-hmm. I think that plays into the Roy as her secret father. The secret villainous father that you have, and you actually being raised with this image of a mild mannered kind of good guy.
I could see it.
I feel more clever about this if it wasn't like I think pretty much nakedly rolled out. Like this is like doesn't feel like a big secret to figure out. It feels like it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you're probably onto something there. Lorraine continues being awful toward Scotty. Like there have been, we didn't mention it in the earlier episode, but doing a lot of like playing with femininity and masculinity with Scotty, and Lorraine is not having any of it. She's like, I see you're wearing lipstick. And then no, it just turns out to be ketchup, and you can see how disappointed she is by that.
Yeah, and thank God that Scotty is like seems to be oblivious to it. She really isn't getting any of the grandma's poison. Like
she will. That's the thing. I look at this like 4 years down the line, and I'm like, she will, and it's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It seems like there's a lot of parents and grandparents that are good grandparents and parents for like little boys and girls, but kind of shit parents and grandparents for going into adulthood and having your own ideas about things.
Anything that colors outside their lines.
Yeah, she's definitely that type.
And it's so passive aggressive with her too. That's the thing. It feels a little bit like that Minnesota Nice thing that she's got going on. She won't come out and say, "You're a girl. You should be dressing like a girl. You should be doing girly things." But she implies it so heavily that the adults get it, but the kid doesn't.
I am beyond curious to see Dot's background, because like I almost feel like there might be a pre-Roy. Like there's too much to her going on. But I don't know, maybe also Roy just trained her to be like some kind of like wilderness survivalist expert shot. And she just got all these crazy survival skills because I don't know. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see how these backgrounds evolve.
Yeah, we'll see. And Lorraine's so petty too. Just like, get some iron in your diet. You look like a corpse on the way out, because she's got to score another point before, because she was just threatened herself, right?
Yeah. And kind of credibly, I think Lorraine was on her back feet, off her back foot on this. Like
I agree.
When she dropped that accent and came right at her and be like, "Look, bitch," it definitely made her sit up a little straighter in her chair.
So Dot goes to the bathroom and examines her bruises while I think maybe worrying about Roy pursuing her. There's a little shot here of Roy kind of in her mind.
Yeah.
And Scotty's hungry, so they decide to make a vegetable medley and do crafts, which is code for upgrading their home security system, which is code for booby-trapping the entire house.
Yeah, Home Aloneing the entire house to Grand Funk Railroad. This is this is just unhinged Kevin McAllister shit. Bare wires across the window threshold. This hair trigger sledgehammer seems particularly scary.
I kept worrying for Wayne when he walks in the door.
Dude.
What's gonna happen? He's gonna open this door and get blasted with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, especially since he bumped into the trigger. I'm actually kind of surprised. I was kind of wondering if they were going to go for season 1 Fargo and have like the one the spouse killed the other with the hammer, accidentally versus maliciously.
It's the hammer of Damocles, right? It's like,
who will the hammer fall on? Yeah, it's going to fall on somebody.
I got to say, this is a ninja-loving kid's dream mom.
Oh, can you imagine honestly, if I was 9 years old and my mom just had a wild hair, it's like, let's booby trap the whole house. I'd be like, oh my God. I've been waiting for years for you to say that. Yeah. And it's another saving grace. Like, Scotty just doesn't get it. Scotty doesn't understand how unhinged her mom is behaving right now.
Well, I mean, she's responding to some very real danger here. I don't think this is necessarily unhinged. The way she goes about it, yes, but like the trauma response and the fear is legitimate. You're right. But I'm saying, like, under the circumstances that she's purporting that she didn't, in fact, get kidnapped, and she's just all very chill. Yeah. For sure. Let's go over to Danish at Wayne's office at the dealership. He puts Lorraine on speakerphone while they interrogate him, and they tell Wayne that Dot's planning to steal Lorraine's money. He's not buying it. This is a very good comedic scene.
This is the second time I laughed out loud, I think. Yeah.
It's mostly Wayne's reaction to the situation that makes me laugh.
Where it's like, oh, it's a joke. Oh, it's not a joke. Oh, I can appeal to this man, this grown man, not to hit me.
As
another
he's
grown
slowly
man.
rising from his chair, leaning forward, cocking back the arm. Yeah.
And just, it was a hell of a backhand, too.
Yep.
That was a lot better of a stroke than Lars there with his golf simulator. Yeah, that's some good form. Got some distance.
Totally. Slap him. As you're my attorney, I authorize you to knock his block off.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Her literal right hand,
Yep. Indeed.
And now he's back at the kiddie table.
He says something that's true here. He says not everything's about money. And in this case, I think we know this is not about money. And that's weird to say in a season of Fargo, which, kind of always revolved around the money, the briefcase of money.
I was going to say, remember the first 2 or 3 seasons where we thought this was somehow tie into the briefcase, and I don't think I'm looking for that. But
I'm not. But it was interesting to see him say that it's not about money, and be right in this case. This is about whatever the hell is going on in Roy's head. About ownership over Dot, I would describe it as.
You could also say it's about freedom in Dot's mind.
Absolutely,
Roy's idea of freedom is diametrically opposed to Dot's. You know, like, she doesn't want to live in that little cloistered, taken in hand, patriarchal bullshit. Yeah.
It's the freedom to live a satisfying life. Is the way that she's interpreting that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's entitled to that. All right, Indira goes to the hospital to talk with the trooper who encountered the kidnappers in the first episode. And she says she has a picture of Dot that she'd like him to look at and see if it matches the woman at the service station. Gator shows up, though, before he can get a look at it, and he takes a picture. He gets a look at it, and then he deletes it before she can confirm the identity with the trooper, and then he heads home. I like this scene a lot.
It's got some of the best dialogue. I really like the sheriff saying, "The woman I knew broke loose like she knew how small the cage can get." Mm-hmm. It's a great line. I thought it was interesting that he calls the cop Indira, I think. Indira. I just feel like it's a random. I'm always randomizing the vowels and consonants in my head. Mm-hmm. He calls her City Girl. Would you care to guess the population of Scandia City?
Wait, was it Beluga or whatever that was 4,000? Because I thought you told me earlier.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Scandia is 4,000.
Okay.
Beulah is 3,000. Feels like, I mean, is that saying something about how rural the county in North Dakota they are? Is that like
Totally
a 4,000 population city? Because like our town was small when we were growing, still is. I think it's got 15,000 people in and out, 10,000 people. That's a small ass town.
Yeah.
4,000 is like, yeah,
a little less than half.
I mean, I've definitely seen smaller, but that's not the city. That's for damn sure not the city.
Yeah, I agree, but he's intrigued by it too, right? And
here's where it's like we talked about whether he's dumb or not, and you said, oh well, he played off the deleting thing smart. But I want to say that like that's the only smart thing he did in this scene. Everything else he did or said set alarm bells off, in both of these. Like not enough to be like you're a bad guy, but I think one more thing.
Mm-hmm. He makes a joke of himself when he says something about kicking ass and then hits his vape and then turns around with those stupid sunglasses on his head, on the back of his hat. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole, like, it's the whole job, protect and serve. Well, I'm down with protecting, and I ain't in the service industry. I felt like, and then he comes back out and he's like, consider that bitch flummoxed. I'm like, you inconvenienced her. She can call her partner and be like, hey, can you text me that picture again? I don't even have to leave the hospital. I don't have to leave this room. And also, you might have delayed them a minute or two, but you are now on these people's radar.
True.
They're going to know the asshole from Clark County that's talking about Beulah. You are going to, and you got a cast on your arm. That's something I'd like to ask about. Yeah, I feel like he's a moron that fucked up that situation.
Yeah, you could be onto something, because she is very much not done with this.
Flawless farmer's hanky. Joe executed where you plug one nostril and you send out the snot rocket away from your body.
Is that what that's called?
The Kleenexless Kleenex.
Yeah, really paints a picture of the guy.
All
right, Wayne arrives home and he sees the security upgrades Dot has made. He's horrified, and he tells Dot that he had a visit from Lorraine and that her story is just not making sense to Lorraine. And that the security story, doesn't make a lot of sense to him either, honestly. And she blames it all on the school board brawl and says, we can get back to normal once we take care of a few things. She kind of appeals to him to upgrade their security, spend a little money on the security, which I think he's going to have to go to Danish to authorize some trust money to be doled out for that security system. We'll see how that plays out. But then the family just sits down for dinner.
I thought this kind of was mildly funny. I liked the zombie killer bat, although this is a pretty direct reference to Steve's bat from Stranger Things, right? Like I looked up a screenshot. It's almost like a prop replica. The pattern nails. I mean, it's a nail bat. What do you want? But I thought that was pretty funny. And then how she's like, well, hon, I'm not asking you to get long guns. And he's like, well, I don't know. Should I buy a gun? And she's like, yeah, we should get a shotgun and maybe a pistol. And like a shotgun is a long gun. So she goes from like, I'm not asking you to long guns to enthusiastically asking him to get them. And
until you saw it off. And then it's
that's true. It won't stay long for long if I know if I'm getting what Dot's picking up here. But I just felt for Wayne, man, because he's like, I just want to play floor hockey with Scotty in my socks and watch The Real Housewives.
Well, she just wants to watch Home Alone. Like when she suggests maybe we get shotguns, maybe we get pistols, a net, maybe like a net. Okay, well now you're back in Home Alone territory.
Does she love Wayne?
I think so. Yeah.
It's hard to go on because she's been traumatized a bunch. So it's like like her turning him down for sex and whatnot. It's like you can't read too much into that.
Yeah.
And I know she for sure loves Scotty. Seems like she takes that part of stuff real serious. But I don't know enough, and it's one of the questions I'm wanting to investigate is like, does she really love Wayne, or is Wayne just the total opposite of Roy and he feels safe? Because he is the total opposite. If you're trying to get away, if you're running as far away from Roy as you can, you will arrive at Wayne.
Absolutely. And I don't know that there would be much of a distinction in her mind, right? If assuming the reasons she ran away from Roy are like
point.
domestic abuse situations, if she encounters a man like Wayne, I think she could absolutely view her feelings, whether anybody else would describe them as love, as such.
Okay. And I think Wayne's lovable. I mean, I think he
seems like a good guy.
He's cute. He's funny. Seems
He's
like
supportive.
he's a good father. Yeah.
Even in
into the same thing she's into.
weird circumstances.
Right? Ride or die for Dottie. That's
Absolutely.
the thing. Is like she is the moon.
Mm-hmm. His dream girl, as he says.
Mm-hmm.
My dream come true. I think it's actually this scene.
Yeah.
Then we get one last scene here where the Gator and his partner here, I don't know, are driving home. Gator stops into the same service station where the shootout occurred. Somehow does not notice that this place had a shootout occur or anything. While he's inside, the surviving kidnapper, Old Munch, murders his driver and leaves a message for Gator that says, "You owe me."
Yeah, I was curious about why he decided, because he knows about this shootout because he referenced it to Roy. And it is also really, I think this is another kind of grimly funny thing, because this is my two people got killed in a shootout in this convenience store, and it's open the next day with they just mop the floors, put the cardboards on the doors, and start slinging your caffeine, nicotine, gasoline, all the things Americans need to run, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But I thought they were going for, he wanted to stop there for a particular reason, because as he's kind of looking thoughtful. It's like, hey, let's pull over here. I need to take a piss. But he just comes out for jerky and
I thought that at first too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why Holly filmed it that way, because we both got the impression was wrong. They really only stopped there for Munch to kill one of them and send a message.
I guess it's just an assumption I made that he was trying not to raise the suspicions of his driver, just pass it off as, I gotta go to the bathroom, whatever, pull over here.
Mm-hmm.
I made a lot of assumptions at the beginning of the scene that turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe I made the assumptions based on something I saw, or maybe not. Maybe just my assumption based on what I know. Because I'm not even sure he knows. Does he know he obviously doesn't know that this is the location, right? Where all that stuff happened?
He said that there was a shoot when he
in his area, in his county.
Yeah, and his namesake's Beulah. I can't imagine that he wouldn't.
So So I guess this is the only service station in Miles, and he just
might be.
He knows it happened here. He's just stopping in to use the bathroom and get jerky.
Or maybe he did something in there that we'll appreciate later.
Maybe.
But I don't think the gas station had any significance other than it was the closest one that the cop ran to. It's not like this is their headquarters or, yeah. The other thing, I saw some people discussing about whether this was more evidence that Munch is a supernatural entity, that he's just shows up out of nowhere and kills this guy. But I think he clearly is from this area and he knows Roy, and he would know that maybe he's just following them.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to appeal to black magic to figure out how he would find these guys in their police car.
Yeah.
Driving back from Scandia along the only road that probably goes to their, so.
Especially if he's looking for revenge, right? They tried to kill him.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying he's not supernatural. I'm just saying I think this is poor evidence of it.
To me, this is playing more like, if you want to go supernatural, like a Michael Myers, like a Jason, that kind of thing. Because they're playing this as Halloween at the beginning of the scene from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's the third one.
Which Halloween, obviously, the Michael Myers franchise. So, and he comes up like a killer out of nowhere, murders somebody. I think they're going for that more than anything. Where he may not be supernatural entirely, but he's definitely this larger than life force.
All right.
Maybe not in the Lauren Malvo kind of way, but in a Michael Myers kind of way.
Well, is that all we have? I think we're at the end of the episode. 8 more left. Do you think FX Hulu is kicking themselves for not getting the show out 2 months ago when they could really take advantage of the Halloween
maybe
environments?
That would have been nice.
Just wasn't possible with all the striking and whatnot. It's a shame because I do feel like maybe it would have fit the aesthetic, but who knows? This could be just be the first couple episodes and then we progress into winter. But
maybe.
Yeah, because I'm feeling the shift. I'm definitely feeling the shift towards the Christmas mode here the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and it's not a very snow-filled season of Fargo, which they haven't all been, but a lot of them have been.
I felt like when they were right there around that Beulah filling station, wasn't there some like a dusting of snow on the ground?
Yeah, it just wasn't the heavy covering that we expect from a Fargo.
Yeah, I hope we do. I hope we get to there. If we're gonna be covered during the winter anyway. Well, hey, that's going to be it for our coverage of the first 2 episodes of this season of Fargo. Curious to see what you guys and gals thought. If you'd like to send us your thoughts, Fargo@baldmove.com is how you do that. As you might expect, since these episodes just finished airing less than 12 hours ago, I think literally with all the commercials and whatnot, I think the last one ended right around 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've not had a chance to accrue a lot of feedback on Fargo, but we'll be back next week to talk about it at the end of the podcast. Fargo@baldmove.com. If you want to know what else we're doing this winter in terms of movies and stuff, I just talked about we just saw Napoleon last night. We're going to be seeing Silent Night next week. We're also picking up we're not picking up. We're in the middle of For All Mankind on Apple TV on the Prestige feed. If you want to know what else we're doing, a great way to follow along is on our social medias @BaldMove everywhere except for TikTok. We're @BaldusMove. And then finally, if you'd like to get our podcast ad-free and lots more bonus audio and video content, check us out at support.baldmove.com. We could use your help. That's going to be it for this week at Fargo. Until next time, I'm your host, A.Ron.
And I'm Jim.
Okay, then.